Hi everyone, it's Jerry. I'm on chess.com and I just got paired up playing a 5-0 game. Let's try knight f6. And maybe go for some Nimzo-Indian Defense. We have that. No increment. Okay. Let's start with b6. And swing the back completely around. Nothing fancy. I could consider dropping back on e7 in reply to a3, because I have enough control over e4. Let's castle. Prepare to give up my bishop for the knight if questioned. Let's strike with d5. Establish a pawn in the center. So on a3 I'm going to drop back now. I have control over the e4 break, and I'll be looking for c5 soon. It's a bit more appealing to do it now, or maybe after a capture. Might want to lure the bishop away. And actually then damage the structure. Maybe I could go for this. Bishop takes knight. Yeah, I'm going to try for this. And strike at this guy. I'd really like to have c takes d, e takes d, and saddle white with these double isolated pawns. Bishop or pawn. I don't want to allow white to get some time with b4. So I know I'm giving myself this isolated pawn, but I don't want to help this kind of development. And where does my knight belong? c6 or d7? Let's go here. Safer square, defended, and maybe just pivot here right away. I think I like this idea. I'm expecting bishop e2, but at least I can drift over at these squares. Do nothing about this pawn. I could take with check, no? King g2, knight h4. Would the king really go after that knight on h4? Check, king g2, knight h4, king g3 or h3. I'm going to try for it. At least it'll make for something exciting if the king goes crazy. I could consider knight d5. Give the pawn back. And at least my bishop's defending the knight. Okay, they didn't move forward. So, where to go with the queen? How about... Let's go here. Maybe knight f3 into h2 actually, isn't that a mate and 2 threat close to it? Knight f3, queen h2. I'm up a pawn. Let's just complete development here. He's a loose piece, but I could always drop back to f5 or g6. This may be a bit a sensitive point, g7. Queen's hit. I don't necessarily have to move that knight. I'm going to, though. I didn't like moving my knight to have my bishop defend here. Just going to tuck him in. I'm up a pawn. I have the safer king. And now this diagonal is weakened. How about we just trade? Why not? Okay, they don't want further trades. Alright, that's an open file. 221. Knight g4 and e4, both appealing. My knight can revisit this square. Let's start with a check, see what white does. And maybe even knight here. Let's do this first. I'm fearful if I play knight e4, I end up in self-pin. Knight g4 with tempo, and then I could stay on that square. Let's go further. Knight h5 into g3, maybe queen h1 mate. Queen trade. Feel like I should be keeping queens on. Let's keep the queens on. Safer king. It's very tempting for me to want to just trade there. Okay, I have a queen g3 move. Oh boy, I have to be a bit careful here. That bishop is really strong. Minute 30. Okay, we're going to take. I think I might go in for a knight here. Oh my goodness, they could play that straight away. I totally missed it. Oh man, not cool. Oh wow, what a blind spot. Whoops. Okay. Yeah, that's not cool at all. I was thinking rook takes and then I would address the threat there. Oh man. And then it's just this kind of pain. Follow up. No good, no good, no good. I guess I have to do this. Wow. Threatening the queen. That's about it. And now everything's collapsing. Okay. Laying down a piece. Probably get away taking here. Okay. That's tough. That is very tough. Got nothing. 21 seconds as well. Oh, that's really painful to just miss that simple tactic. Alright, let's just see white finish me off here. Many ways to do it. Yeah, that's probably one of them. I guess we'll go here. My king will be running for the hills soon. Queen check, king here, rook takes pawn. Okay. Yeah, that'll do it as well. They got some kind of mate coming up. Or that one. Time to resign. Missed a simple tactic there. I saw it. I saw the bishop pinning the pawn, but it was just a blind spot taking Nf5. Well, aside from that, I guess the big thing here to question is, was it the right idea to exchange queens or not? I think the reasoning I used with wanting to keep the queens on the board is correct, just having the safer king. But, maybe I could have just played it being up a pawn and the queen's off and not been too focused on trying to get at the king. Another take on this position, let me just flip the board for a moment. Another take on this position right here. Let's see. Right around here. When there's the offer of a queen exchange. Maybe, I mean, this is kind of giving white a free move. You know, it's a strictly defensive move here that I'm playing, queen c7. And I'm giving no direction to white whatsoever. You know, they could do whatever they want to try to improve. An example would even be knight here. Just improving the knight and unmasking the bishop. And they have these two bishops pointing at my king. Maybe it's actually my king in a way who's a bit more vulnerable, even though the white pawns are further away from the king. I'm beginning to think that my assessment of me having the safer king is not correct. Yeah, I guess I misevaluated this. Because the queen will be a fine enough defender. It's a different story if I'm able to get this move in. But I don't know. I guess I should have traded queens. I think my decision was okay, and we'll review it with the computer. But I think my decision is all right with going in for this capture and also deciding to capture here and play with an isolated pawn just to sidestep this type of speedy development, and then just kind of drift over towards the squares over here where white is weakened. We'll see what the computer is saying, especially I'll be a bit curious to see what it says right here, if it really wants to hunt down my knight, because, well, king here I could give a check first. So if there is some way to attack the knight, king h3, and then I believe I was going to do something like this to give the pawn back, and then, you know, something like this. My knight at least is defended with the bishop. Even material, but pretty exposed king. Can I really get at him? I'm not sure. But, yeah, kind of rolling the dice some. It's not really a position you could, for me at least, one that I could calculate completely out. I mean, look at the tactic that I missed. It's just a one-move shot. But getting back to this moment here where there is once again the option to trade queens, it'd be a different story if I avoided the queen exchange and, let's say, threw some punch, but I'm not doing that. So white has their pick to do whatever it is they want. And yeah, f5. And I may already be in trouble, actually, with this move. Because the alternative to play here, there's this capture. I could take here, but there's at least an in-betweener to get the pawn back. Not sure who stands better here. Tough call. I don't think any of us have a good pawn in the position. Also, on the queen trade, there isn't the win of material. I saw this with the follow-up check. There is a block. And still tricky to assess here. 1, 2, 3, yeah, I am down a pawn. But they have the bishop pair. And I have a couple of weak pawns over here. I don't know. It's tough to assess this ending if I went for it. I was looking for something more, but there really wasn't something more for me, I don't think. I'm not so sure I had the safer king with the queen here, the bishop here, both bishops pointing at my king. I think it's simply the wrong assessment that I made in-game. But let's have a look at it with the computer and see where we can improve, maybe even in the opening as well. Okay, Stockfish. Let's see a quick point or two from this one. Nothing great happening in the opening. No great shifts. This is an idea to take. Doesn't want to give up the bishop pair. But it's an option. That's what I was going for. The damage of the structure, that's a bit of a trade-off. Okay, it wants to go with b takes. My positional sense says to go like this to maintain these two guys. But this is what concerned me. b4 and bishop to b2. I didn't want to help that dark square bishop out. So I was willing, in other words, to damage my structure so that white couldn't gain that time. b3. Just trying to drift over towards the king side. It recommends f4 now. And now bishop to b2. What would I do on f4? Queen c7, bishop b2, rook a to b8. I'm not quite sure what the point of that is. I really don't see what kind of influence the rook is going to have on the b file, especially with this bishop on c4. Rook a d1. Let me just play out a few more moves to kind of get a feel. Queen c6, trying to sneak in here. Queen e2. Knight b6. Okay, I can start to see it now. This is at least the idea. This starts to make a bit more sense to me when I see rook a to b8 combined with knight b6, because this tries to rattle the bishop's position on c4 Bishop b5, queen a8. It's a funny move. Staying on this diagonal, cutting right into these squares. Keeping a close eye on one of the two holes, f3. There's multiple holes, these three, h3, f3, and h4. Okay, just want to get a little bit of a feel behind this rook a to b8 idea. They didn't prevent knight to e5 in the game, so I hopped right in. And I could get away with taking. So they shouldn't allow that. I was expecting bishop e2, they didn't go for it. But I could get away with this. King g2, knight h4 is fine. And the king goes back, so let's just investigate this. King h3. Ooh. Queen c8. Interesting. And on king takes knight, it's a mate in 7. Starting with e5. Ah, that's nice. I'm threatening queen g4. And they have to do stuff like rook d7. Oh, man. Oh, the other threat is just to move the knight here, huh? Followed up with g6 stuff, luring the king closer. As an example, if the queen comes here to cover g5. No, it's even faster. There's knight h5. King takes h5, queen h3. Oh, that's nice. I figured there's something there if the king is moving forward. I don't know that I would have spotted queen to c8 though in this position. I was thinking more along the lines of after king h3 to give the pawn back with this. And it's holding as equal, but yeah, you can't really go by that assessment. It's really, it could go anyway. It's too tough to assess. Such a open position. King on h3, queen still on board, 2 knights still on board. But queen c8, I don't see myself playing this. But it is best there. And then running into a mate in 7, e5, rook d7, bishop e6. I guess these threats are just too strong. To move the knight, to threaten queen g4. Just threaten queen g4 right here. And also just a knight move to h5 and then queen h3. A mate in 1 idea and also a mate in 1, 2 idea. That's pretty neat. I like that. Okay, well he went back. He sensed the danger. And then queen c7 is fine. Just occupying an open file. We exchange. No, I ran away first. Okay. Exchange rooks is fine. Knight e8. Knight e4 as well. I played h5 at one point. I guess I could be a bit more direct. Knight e4. Queen g2. And then knight to d6. I didn't really consider that kind of maneuver. I mean, I'd be looking more along the lines of, if I'm going to play knight e4, I want to next support him if he's attacked with f5. Oh, I can't do that. How many times am I going to miss this bishop, huh? My idea when I did play h5, and I don't know how clear I was during the game with explaining why I went for h5 here, but I wanted to be able to play knight g4 and after and not have to react to the queen applying pressure to my knight. I wanted to get there and have some stability for that knight for at least one move, and then try to work in another piece. As an example, if white isn't playing h3, let's just say a passing move. Then there's knight g4. The queen could come over here to attack the knight, and okay, I'm entering here. And I'm not saying the queen g3 is the best move, but I just, wanted to point out I have some stability here. Yeah, I have pressure on e3, and well, there's wins all over the place, taking the pawn, going to d2 at this stage because there's no rook block. But they took away that idea with h3. Close to a pawn advantage for me, so h4. What's better than that? Knight h4. What? Knight h4 right away. And on queen takes knight, rook d2. Yeah, that's kind of tough to spot. Rook here. Knight e4. Okay, yeah. I'm not going to see that. Not in a blitz game, at least. That's pretty wild. Knight h4 move. I went with something a bit more positional-minded. h4, and I'm a couple steps away from that. And now it's pretty even. I mean, I am up that pawn, but queen g2 is a good move. And I'm expecting, after I play queen c7, that it's close to lost. f5 is just a strong move. f5 is top move. Too strong of a opinion, but saying it's lost. But f5 is good, and it's holding as even. There is, we could say, compensation clearly for white. I have that material plus, but it's not really feeling like I have a material plus here. Knight e5 takes, and we arrive at that position I was pointing out first. This move, yeah, holds as even, but it's anyone's guess who is really the better side here. It's a tough one for me to evaluate. And, well, white's, well, I'm on move here, suggesting queen g3. Maybe a way to go. I didn't really see it as, I think I went as far as thinking, well, if I play knight e5, they're going to win the pawn back. But maybe I could have also looked at it in a different way, where I say to myself, well, on the other hand, white has the bishop pair, so yes, I'll give a pawn back, but at least I'll take out the bishop pair and play this position where it's finally, for at least this one moment, a bit calm. There's no punch being thrown my way, and I have kind of like a free play. I could try to come up with something. It's suggesting queen g3 from here, but it'd be a tough one from here, for sure. Ended much more quickly, of course. I take, and it's just lost to this simple tactic. Oh well, it's going to happen. Happen here. You saw it firsthand. And there was no opportunity for me here. Running into a mate in 6. 3, 2, and mate in 1 if I played out one more. Queen b5 would have been mate. But at this point I resigned. Okay, tough loss. As usual, feel free to leave any feedback to this video in the comments section below. And as usual, I hope you got something out of it. That's all for now. Take care. Bye.